Okay, hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. So from that last video, we're now cupping those Sidama samples plus some two other coffees that I had, my Ecuadorian and like leftover Honduras Copan, just for comparison. Definitely when I'm tasting something new, I want to have something kind of old or familiar on the table just to have some sort of like point of reference to see how bright or how sweet or acidic or whatever this new coffee is on the table. So if you missed the last vlog roasting these, they were 100-gram samples. They're from Mizar Coffee, who reached out to me on IG, gave us some samples of the Sidama West RC coffee. So what I'm going to bring up on the screen now is the sort of cheat sheet that they showed me. So let me bring that up. Okay, so the region is from Oromia. The zone is West RC. The district is Nensebo. The town is Worka. The village is Urchuro. The variety is a typic mixed heirloom. The elevation was at 1945 to 2100 meters. The type was washed West RC. The process was natural. That was a little confusing. The certification is organic. It was about 750 farmers harvesting this coffee, and it was harvested in 2020 and this year, 2021. So this is what they told me about their process for processing this coffee. So the first thing is 85% well-ripe and 15% semi-ripe cherries are selected. Interesting. The cherries are immersed in a water tank to remove the floaters. Right after the floaters are removed, for 8 hours the cherries were soaked in water. So there's a soaking that goes on first. Then they dry it. So the cherries are dried on raised beds, and then on each bed they put 25 kilos of cherries with a thickness of 5 centimeters. So I guess they have like a sieve or, something that can filter out smaller cherries. The raised beds were placed on location with more than wind. The raised beds were placed on location with wind blowing on them and less sunlight, so a little bit in the shade. And the drying goes on for 28 days. Cool. This is something they said, improved process. So in this process, we practiced 8 hours of cherry soaking before, right after they remove the floaters. And that technique actually helps to initiate sugar reaction inside the cherry. This enhances taste in it, like that tastes something like honey. Interesting. So that's their process and what they call a natural kind of wet or washed process because of that soaking. So it's kind of that combo. And when you taste this coffee, definitely getting those fermentation vibes, those like wine-like vibes coming off of it. It reminds me a lot of when I first tasted my Ecuadorian coffee, and when I roast it very light. It was really hard for me to tell from these 4 samples on this coffee the difference between 2, 3, and 4. The first one I could taste a little bit like a hint of being underripe. Still some raw quality to that, and I think that was because it was the first roast out of the gate. So it wasn't retaining its energy as well as like say 2, 3, and 4. I thought 3 was I think the best one, and that charge of that sample was like a 335 or something like that. So something a little bit lower. And I'm curious as to how this would translate to a full batch. I'm thinking it's probably going to do well at like I think maybe a 380 charge. That's what I'm kind of thinking right now, just because of how high of an elevation it is, for that ROR to really jump to, over like a 30 ROR at least, and then for it to slowly come down after that. I think you would need that much power in the beginning, but I don't know. That would be my guess. But yeah, super tasty coffee in comparison to the Ecuador and especially to my Honduran coffee, which is really old. Probably, I don't know, I would say that's maybe like a 3-year-old crop or something like that. Maybe it's older, I'm not sure, but it just tasted very baggy, like a paper bag. I'm tasting it right now, and yeah, you see me shaking my head like, wow, tastes not good to me, when I'm comparing it to such a fresh and more complex coffee with that Sidama right next to me. And then I have an Ecuadorian right below it, which I thought was good. It was okay. It was a really nice kind of comparison between that was also wine-like in its fermentation process, because they do not the same thing, but they do a similar process that kind of initiates that sugar reaction that happens, I think, what they were trying to do at Mizar. So, yeah, it was cool to taste those. The Ecuadorian was sweeter, and since it's a lower elevation coffee, it didn't have all those really bright fruity notes in it, but you could tell that its base, like its sweetness, is not just like a Brazil sweet. It was like a fermented sweet. And, you can't really tell those differences, I think, until you get on the cupping table and have them side by side. And that's the beauty of cupping. Another thing I wanted to make note of in this video is the ode grinder and how it was doing as a cupping grinder. And with that grind size in between 2 and 3 on the dial, it was really nice, like just to be able to grind right into the cup too. Like that saved me a lot of waste, in terms of cupping, because I would have to go from the grind container to the cupping bowl, and I believe you're probably losing some grounds in there, and so it wasn't not really mirroring what cupping standards are supposed to be, but we're really just doing our best at home. And I thought it did really well, and the clarity of flavor that I could tell between that first one and the other 3 of those 4 samples, I think that's the power of a really good grinder, is to be able to tell those hair-like differences as much as possible. And I don't know, I could tell a big difference from using this ode grinder versus my old Capresso, which is still a great grinder. We still use it for, when I have company over and stuff like that. But it's so nice to have a kit just for cupping, just for, a semi-professional use, something with a much more intention and consciousness at the cupping table. But yeah, this coffee is delicious. I'll definitely be thinking about it, it's really good. I've been also tasting it as I've been, working and editing on these videos and these vlogs, having a blast, talking about it. Yeah, it's a really good coffee. Check them out, Mizar Coffee. They have got a great program, I think, over there. Really trying to focus on the farmers and stuff like that, and bring attention to the farmers of this coffee. Very good coffee. I believe its score was 89, and I'm not sure if that was the green or the cup. Good things, and we will see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.